go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Fall 2022 Academic Personnel Processing Workshop presented by HR and by the Office of Faculty Affairs. My name is Eric Cuevas. I'm a HR operations technician, and with me, I have some other presenters from the Office of Faculty Affairs. We have Michelle Kilnick. Say hello, Michelle.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
And we also have Ashley Thompson.
Good morning.
And also joining us will be Yesenia Corona.
Good morning.
And hopefully I'm saying this right, Parker Ryan John.
Good morning, Ryan Parker St. John.
My apologies.
It's all right.
We'll go ahead and get started in just a second here. We'll go over the agenda for today. So we're doing things a little bit different this time around. We're going to be focusing the first half of the presentation on the faculty, the contract portion and important rules and policies to be aware of. We'll also have some kind of updates just to go over just at the top, sort of some house cleaning, sort of housewarming part of the introduction. So there's also information about the appointment letter process, additional work, and then we'll move into the HR portion, going over background checks, sign-in process, a brief blurb on parking permits, benefits, and then the more of the nitty-gritty of how the coordinator should process the module, the part-time faculty, and a brief kind of aside on student classifications, and then going over the master payroll certification, as well as the live. Actually, I should probably remove that. I don't know if we're going to go over that. And then also going over this current academic year and the summer 2022. So wrapping up any items from the past. So go ahead and just kind of launch into this. So just something to get out just right from the top. Some update on the salary program. So something we've been working on was the increases that were retro to July 1st, 2021. That was passed was ratified by CFA and the Chancellor's Office. And so that involved a retroactive 4% GSI, as well as a retroactive 2.65% SSI for eligible faculty members who were eligible for that. And so because of this, there was a lot of exceptions that we had to work through, a lot of manual items that we had to do analysis on, and a lot of evaluations we had to perform. So, shout out to the operations and payroll team on the HR side, as well as faculty affairs for providing us the reports to work off of these. But it has been an ongoing process, and I would say we're about 98% finished, 99% finished, and there's just like a small handful of items that we still need to evaluate still. But because of this, I know we're not talking about summer, but since we are still in the summer term, this has an impact on summer session 2, because in previous years this will normally issue out around August 1st. But because of the SSIs and their impact on salary, this also impacts the summer 130th rate because it's retroactive. So then their rate needs to be updated in order for the 130th rate to be accurate. So we're also doing individual analyses on the summer payments as well to make sure that it matches with the most current rate, and not anything that was previous. So as a result, we have a forecasted potential delay in payment issuance just for summer session 2. And it would be around mid-August at the latest, but hopefully sooner. We are working diligently to get this done as soon as possible. We beg your patience on this. It has been kind of a very strenuous process to do all of the salary increases, as well as all of the other items that are impacted by it. But rest assured, we are working on this. And, if faculty members are asking about these payments, that to reassure them that it will be coming soon, that it's just a short delay. Now moving on into the academic year, the one that's coming up now. So for 2022 and 2023, We already have the table that has been set up in the part-time faculty module, which is where you'll be placing the transactions, and I'll provide more information on that later on in the presentation. But just kind of an overview for everyone, just kind of get us like, into the mindset of what we're going to be talking about. So part-time faculty, the 2358 part-time lectures, they have 3 appointment types. There's 1 semester, and I listed the dates for fall only, spring only. And then there's for a 1-year appointment, those would be the dates to be provided. And then the 3-year appointment. So that end date for the Y3 or the 3-year appointment is tentative, but that's sort of what we have on the tentative calendar for academic year 24-25. So that is our estimated date, but that's what is going to be placed in the system. And then for teaching associates, they have 1 semester and a 1-year appointment option. And then for graduate assistants, because their appointments are handled a little bit differently, they are only issued 5 checks as opposed to the usual 6 per semester, or 12 in total for the academic year. They just get 5. So they start a little bit later. Their effective date begins either at the beginning of September, or if they're working for spring, they'd begin first day in the February pay period. So I know we're just kind of launching into everything, but this is just to segue us into more of the faculty policies and the faculty information that is relevant. Before we even get into the processing part, is with the more of the hands-on portion in Solar HR. It is imperative for you to know and have, it's good to even have a refresher if this is not your first year performing this, just to know a little bit more about the different unions involved. Unit 11 for the academic student employees, teaching associates, and graduate assistants, and as well as RO3, which is for the part-time lecturers that we're going to be talking about today. So with that, I will be turning it over to Faculty Affairs to talk a little bit more about appointment letters.
Thank you, Eric.
Sure, no problem.
Morning, everybody. All right, so I'm going to go over Unit 11, academic student employees. So first thing, colleges and departments must provide the academic student employee with the appointment notice at least 90 days prior to the effective date, or as soon as possible, as soon as the hiring decision is made. And so only offer the appointment when the hiring decision is made, because once it is offered, it has to be upheld by the university. So just keep that in mind. The appointment notice templates are posted on the Human Resources and Academic Personnel and Faculty Affairs website. If you want to know where to go, those are on the forms pages on both of the websites. Also, the appointment notice packets must include the academic student employee description of duties form, Appendix C, which we'll be going over that a little bit later. All right. Next slide, please. Unit 11. So teaching associates, graduate assistants, and instructional student assistants, just in case you didn't know what the acronyms meant, and Unit 3. So human resources will not provide appointment letter downloads. Those will now be college driven and can be run at your convenience. So now the colleges and the departments can run those letters. It also allows for the appointment letters to be generated before the semester begins and before teaching instructions start. So the requirements are the job appointments must be entered by the PAR forms, which is personnel action requests, and the and corrections. So the PAR form is also located on the HR website and can also be found on the Faculty Affairs website under forms. Be sure to audit all data before running any letters, and auditing is now the department's responsibility. So make sure all the appointment information is correct, the correct numbers are entered, and all that stuff before sending those out. And again, please download the latest template from the HR toolkit.
Thank you, Ryan. Just a quick, I guess not a side, but just maybe a clarification. So the job appointments can be entered via PAR, let's say for a special situation, or if there's a correction that needs to be made, but the job appointments are entered in, the majority of which will be entered in through the part-time faculty module. So I guess I didn't clarify that part, but yeah, the job appointment must be entered prior to the creation of the letter, because it's the appointment letter creation is pulled from information that's in the system. So that's why the transaction needs to be in the system. But anyways, yeah, just a brief aside on that. But yes, PAR forms, and I'll touch a little bit more about that as well when we move on to the HR portion. So thank you, Ryan. Yeah.
We can go to the next slide. All right, so ASC hiring, separations, terminations. So some things to know before hiring: open hire positions must be posted by the ASC1 form. Must have signed the SC1, which is the statement of professional preparation and experience. It must be on file with the department. Copy of the SC1 employee sign in form by all new teaching associates and graduate assistants completing the sign-in process. Resignation or declining an appointment. So employees submit written letters stating that they decline the appointment or resign from the position with an effective date. So someone resigns from the position or declines it, please try to get it in writing if you can, if it's on a goodwill basis, because that way, if anything were to come up later, it's already on file with the university, and we have documentation prior to anything that happens. So if you can, get it all in writing. And if not, if no written confirmation, the hiring department or college should send out an email or confirmation of the discussion and details surrounding the withdrawal. So any emails that you have with either the candidate or the employee, please save those. Don't delete them, and keep them for record, again, just in case if anything comes up. And so after all that, you submit the separation PAR form to Human Resources to separate the effective last day of the appointment period. And if there's failure to perform duties, the hiring department or supervisor should consult with faculty affairs. All right. Instructional student assistants. So those numbers to the left are the job codes. So we have ISA on campus for work study, off campus, and just the different codes that you'd have to enter depending on what the student will be doing. So ISAs under the supervision, what they normally do is grade or tutor, sometimes teach, but they're more of a kind of a clerical position, and so their main responsibility should be focused on grading and tutoring. And for the majority of work hours in a given appointment in a given academic department or equivalent administrative unit over the course of an academic term. One more thing is, so assignments are a maximum of 20 hours per week with the ISAs, and they shouldn't go over that. And the only exception is during academic breaks, such as the summertime. So just keep that in mind as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. And so the next we have teaching associates. So the teaching associate classification provides currently enrolled or admitted CSU graduate students with part-time employment, offering practical teaching experience in fields related to their advanced study. So they teach university courses and also assist faculty and teaching staff with various other professional and technical activities. And so their work assignments and teaching is more so closely related with their program of study or the academic department in which they're enrolled in. And they can be appointed up to 40 hours a week. However, if they hold ISA or GA position, it can only be up to 20 hours. Next slide. And we have our graduate assistants. And so with the graduate assistants, they assist regular faculty member or teaching staff with various professional and technical associated generally with the subjects or programs in which assistant is doing graduate work. Graduate assistant work may involve supervising students in a classroom, workshops, doing some research in a laboratory, training students to use equipment, assisting faculty with research, preparation of course materials. So graduate assistants are a little more hands-on, a little more in depth in terms of the position. So they work a lot more closely with faculty. And next slide. All right, so graduate assistant overview. We have the graduate assistant academic year and the graduate assistant monthly. So for the academic year, they're appointed for longer periods of time for the duration of the academic year. So fall semester begins September 1st of the pay period, and you have their salary minimums and maximums. And also remember that they're entitled to 5 checks throughout the year, and will be automatically terminated once the year is up. And a par form is required only if it's a late hire or early termination. And for the short-term appointments, for the graduate assistants monthly, short-term appointments are by exception only, and effective dates can begin just about whenever. And par required for separation, those are the salary minimums and maximums right over there to the right. And again, they're only hired for short-term appointments.
And just if I can just jump in on the GA monthlies, you just need to make sure if you are going to do those, they need to be really, it's important to do the par to appoint and separate at that time, because a lot of times what will happen is they'll just continue to get paid, and that will be an issue, right? So if you're doing a short duration, like 2-3 months, then you should do the appointment part and the separation part at the same time and kind of send it as a package. So that way there's no issues of overpayments. Whereas with the academic year ones, you have it for the semester and they get the 5 payments. Yeah. Sorry, wasn't. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
No, no problem.
All right, I believe we can go to the next slide. All right, so some important articles, appointments, posting, and notifications. So prior to the commencement of the term, or as soon as practicable thereafter, the university shall provide the ASC the following information: the faculty member or supervisor to whom the individual will report, the location where work will be performed, the classes assigned, if applicable, and the time and place, if any applicable orientations. The specific duties and expectations of the appointment as detailed in the form in Appendix C, which I believe is the next slide, or campus-based form that contains at least the same information. The university may include estimated time for effective completion of each duty. And the university shall provide advance notice when the above reference duties are changed significantly. Such changes will be confirmed in writing. All right, next slide. And this is the Appendix C form that we've been mentioning. And just make sure that this is completed to its entirety. Make sure everything's filled out correctly. And the form can be accessed on the Faculty Affairs website right there under that link. ASC important articles again. So Article 23.14 Union Access Rights. The union shall be provided 30 minutes to present union information at campus-wide, college-wide, and tutor center employment orientations. The union shall be provided 30 minutes to present union information at department employment orientations if all of the union members have not been required to attend an employment orientation as defined above. So before you have any orientation, you have to contact the union and let them know that you're going to have an orientation, and you have to set aside 30 minutes for them. That's very important because that's in the contract. So make sure that that's upheld whenever you have any kind of gathering like that. So keep that in mind. All right, and next slide. And just kind of a brief overview, AC hiring, separations, terminations, and classification reminders is that instructional student assistants, Unit 11, do not equate to student assistants, which are non-represented. So ISAs are represented by Unit 11, and student assistants are non-represented. So keep that in mind. Also, ISAs, again, they have a list of duties that they perform, whereas a student assistant performs more clerical duties. So just keep those things in mind. All right. And I believe that's it for me.
Is it me now? Am I doing cancellation of classes?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I'll turn it over to
Ashley.
Ashley. Yeah.
Right. Or if you need me, I'm here.
We'll see. Let's just go with it. So Unit 11, cancellation of classes and assignments. Teaching associates and graduate assistants appointments are non-conditional on budget and enrollment, except for spring of academic year appointments. So they cannot be canceled. Be sure you want to make that offer, because once you make it, you are committed to it. Instructional student assistant appointments are conditional and may be rescinded based on budget and enrollment. If an appointment is rescinded, a TA is to be paid for class hours taught, and a GA or ISA is to be paid for their actual hours worked. Next slide, please. Conditional. Conditional appointments can be canceled or rescinded due to budget or low enrollment. Non-conditional, of course, it cannot be canceled or rescinded. So like I said, please be sure you want to make those appointments, because you will be committed to them. Unit 3, appointments for full-time lecturers are not conditional on budget or enrollment. Part-time lecturers, less than full-time, of course. Classes can be canceled prior to the third class meeting. The lecturer from the beginning, otherwise the lecturer from the beginning of the semester through the last day of work. If class is canceled after the third class meeting, you are obligated to pay the instructor for the entire semester or provide alternate work assignment. Next slide, please. 1-year appointments. A 1-year appointment can be earned by teaching fall and spring of the previous year. A 1-year appointment is for the academic year. It would be the same number of units taught in the year prior to service, and it would be in a similar distribution of units over the next 2 semesters that were taught in the previous year. For 3-year appointments, a lecturer with a 3-year appointment should have their entitlement met before Y1s. So in the order of assignment, you're going to go with your Y3 first, and then your Y1s, and then your S1s. Again, the entitlement for your 3-year appointments would be the same as was taught in the 6th year or in the last year of the previous Y3 appointment. Again, similar distribution over the next 3 years as in the previous year prior to the start of the Y3 appointments. And Y3 appointments are renewed following determination by an appropriate administrator that the lecturer has been rated satisfactory and absent of any conduct problems. Next slide. Okay, entitlements. Why do we need to know this? Processing, appointment letters and part-time module PAR forms. Regarding the appointment letters, faculty affairs does an analysis to confirm entitlements every year, and then we will send those letters out. It is the department's responsibility to then go into the part-time module or submit a PAR to change the lecturer's information in the payroll system. A 1 semester appointment is they are brand new or they've had a separation in service long enough that they have come back and just taught one semester. A 1-year appointment can be earned by teaching 2 consecutive semesters. However, those semesters need to be fall and spring. They cannot be spring and fall. And then a Y3 appointment is earned by teaching 6 consecutive years, and a year can be just 1 semester per year. So they don't have to be a Y1 in order to earn a Y3. Some lecturers can stay S1 for a consecutive 6 years and still earn Y3. Next slide, please. Oh, and here is a lovely breakdown of how you can earn some entitlements. You'll see over here on the left-hand side, 7 different scenarios for how you can earn entitlement. In the first scenario, you are working your fall and spring, so you would have a 15-unit entitlement for a Y1's effective year 2. And then in certain situations, if it is a state support summer, you can earn some entitlement, like in scenario 3, where someone taught during spring and a state supported summer. So they go into the next year with a Y1 of a 9-unit entitlement. And next slide. So if there are no classes to offer someone with an entitlement, please contact Faculty Affairs. Please contact us. Make sure you contact us before you do anything. Just contact us. Next slide. Yes, and document. If someone declines units, resigns, or retires, please make sure you get something in writing. Please make sure you keep that something in writing and that you communicate it with Faculty Affairs. If a faculty person fails to submit any type of documentation, then have the department chair email them with a statement indicating that the department's understanding is that they will be resigning, or they will be retiring, or they have refused units, and try to get some type of confirmation from the lecturer on that part. A PAR will need to be submitted, part 1 of separation and clearance immediately. Follow up with part 2 of separation and clearance. And lastly, leaves of absence without pay can be used to maintain an entitlement. Michelle, I don't know if you want to say more about that, or if that's.
Absolutely. Hi, thank you, Ashley. So leaves without pay it's really important that we ensure that the leaves without pay are being reviewed properly and that the appointment has been offered. A faculty member cannot take a leave, right? Or if they haven't been offered units. There has been instances before where folks will try to apply for the leaves without pay. They don't have an appointment, and their intent is to try to preserve the entitlement. So really be cognizant when you do receive the leave without pay forms. They don't automatically have to be approved, and that should be vetted and reviewed. If you have any questions related to those, please contact our office, and we'd be happy to walk through it. Thank you. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Well,
next slide.
Actually, I think the next slide was turning it over to Yessie to go a little bit over additional pay. But before that, does anyone have any questions for Ryan or Ashley in regards, or any questions in regards to the faculty policies or entitlements? Do I have any questions? Especially while we have them here, hopefully they can answer.
Thank you, Eric. One thing before, I know I see some hands up, but the letters for the 3-year letters that are effective fall 22, those ones that are coming for the entitlement letters by the provost, our office is working on finalizing those. Those should be coming out probably mid-August. Faculty aren't responsible or required to check email when they're off contract. So the semester starts August 24th, so they will be getting those in time for the start of the semester. That doesn't prevent you from doing the actual appointment letters of what their units will be for the fall or what the offers will be. So what our office does is work on the 3-year letters from the provost. So those are forthcoming soon.
Thank you, Michelle. So do we have any questions? I think I saw a raised hand, but I don't have the full ability to see. Amelia?
I see Deanna. Yeah, I think Deanna.
Deanna?
Hi, good morning. I have a question about a Y3 part-time lecturer. His Y3 is effective actually for fall, but he did decline units for fall. And I was planning on doing a PAR for short work break, but I just received notification that he's going to be retiring effective September 27th. And so I would obviously start the separation paperwork, but I'm kind of not sure what to do because it's after the start of the fall semester. So I wanted to get guidance on what I should do. Should I do both steps? What would be ideal?
So if they don't have an appointment for the fall, I mean, then you can do the retirement paperwork now.
Okay.
I mean, they can do the retirement up to 90 days prior to the retirement date. I believe, actually, I think CalPERS even allows up to 120 days.
Okay.
So if it's end of September, you're fine to do that, have them start the retirement process with CalPERS, and you can do a PAR form to submit that they're going to be retiring.
Okay.
The issue, though, and I'm wondering HR, if because they don't have an appointment, they can still retire without having an active. They're a lecturer, I'm assuming.
Yes, they are correct.
Yeah, so they don't have an active appointment, but they're retiring outside of the appointment. Is that an issue?
They were Y3 and effective for fall semester, they would be a they were Y1, I apologize, but effective fall, they would be a Y3. So I was planning on putting that into the module before I knew he was going to retire.
Right, but they don't have an appointment. So I guess what I'm wondering, and it's probably more of an HR processing question, is how they can retire if they don't have an appointment for fall, like in the middle of the semester.
Right.
Right. And Michelle, that is a good question. And Deanne as well. That's a good question. I believe if they have CalPERS, we would go off of the date that's provided by the employee to CalPERS. If they are saying that they're going to be retiring as of September 27th, and that's confirmed with CalPERS, that's the date we're going to be using, but we'll note that the last day worked, and just based on conversation, their last day worked was spring of 22.
Correct.
Okay. So then, the last day work, when you're preparing the separation clearance forms, that would be last day worked, 5/25, 2022. And then whatever ends up being the confirmed CalPERS retirement date, that would be used.
Okay, so I'll submit the separation paperwork and and eventually the PAR to separate as well.
Yes.
But I should not do a renewal in the part-time factory module, even though we're kind of in limbo, if you will, before the start of fall.
Right, because they're not going to be reappointed, right?
Okay.
They're retiring.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And yeah, Deanna, we may need to take this offline because there also might be a mass separation process that might happen for that Y1.
Gotcha.
But we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Because we're going to have to adjust that to move that from
okay, I'll touch base with you. Thank you both so much. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Amelia, were there any other questions or any other raised hands for Faculty Affairs?
I didn't see anything else.
Okay, well, easy crowd today. But we'll go ahead and turn it over to Yessie Corona to go over additional pay. So let me just move the slide.
Thank you, Eric.
Sure, no problem.
So all Union 3 and Union 11 employees are required to complete the total instructional employment disclosure form. They will be receiving an email from us soon requesting that they complete this form prior to the start of the fall semester. The form is submitted online through a link on the portal. It will then be sent to the department chair or department reviewer to review and approve the form via the OnBase web client. The form will then be routed to Faculty Affairs for approval. And once we complete the approval, it will be sent to HR so that it can be placed in the employee's personnel file. If you have any questions regarding this form or the process, you can refer to the Faculty Affairs website, and the information will be located under the additional employment link. Next slide, please. The CSU additional employment policy establishes a limit of 125% of total employment that an individual may have in a CSU system. Employees can work up to 125% only if one of the conditions are met. The employment must consist of a substantially different nature of their primary appointment. The employment must be funded from non-general fund sources, or the employment must be due to accrual of part-time employment on more than one CSU campus. Full-time employment is considered 40 hours or 100%. So 25% of full-time employment equates to 10 hours per week for a total of 50 hours per week. And this is during academic semesters. AY faculty can work up to the 125% during academic breaks. A reminder that non-exempt staff with additional employments must be compensated at an overtime rate for any hours in excess of 40 hours per week. For example, if there's a full-time employee working one day as a special consultant, they would require an 8-hour compensation at the overtime rate. Do we have any questions so far?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you, Amelia. Next slide, please. Pre-authorization must be approved before an employee completes the work. The fall term is available, so we want to make sure to submit all the pre-authorizations as soon as possible to ensure that the authorizations are approved in a timely manner. Please keep in mind that the description of work box should include a brief summary of the tasks and scope of duties that will be performed. The pre-authorization should also include a brief description of the funding used to pay the request. Next slide, please. There are 21 days available for additional work during the fall 2022 semester, and there are 22 days available for additional work during the spring 2023 semester. Here's a reminder that the job code, the 2403 job code, is utilized for full-time faculty, 12-month faculty, and department chairs. This consists of a one-step process, which is the pre-authorization, and it is considered an appointment that is paid monthly at the start of the month. So usually the first of the month. And again, this is for faculty and lecturers whose primary appointment is full-time. The 4660 job code is a two-step process, which consists of the pre-authorization and the payment authorization. This job code is used only for staff or for faculty whose primary appointment is less than full-time. This job code is also utilized for AY faculty during academic breaks. And again, that is because they're allowed to work up to the 125%. Anyone can initiate a pre-authorization, but only the initiator and those in the approval path can view the requests. The final approvers include faculty affairs for all faculty RO3 requests and human resources for all staff-only appointments on the state and St. College side. There are restrictions for additional pay, and those are for employees placed on a leave or those participating in the FER program. That is why the system is built to prevent departments and employees from submitting the request on their end. And that is because these situations must be reviewed by our office to ensure that employee is in fact eligible to complete the additional work via the additional job pay at CSUN.edu email. Rehired annuitants do not have that, do not receive that prompt in the system, but this is just a reminder that their workload is restricted to the 960 hours or 50% of their workload preceding retirement, whichever is less. And this is within a fiscal year. So this is just a reminder that it's the employees and department's responsibility to keep track of the hours worked or offered. Next slide, please. Here are some tips so that the additional pay process can go a little bit smoother or more efficiently. Please submit the pre-authorization as soon as possible, again, to ensure that everyone has enough time to review and approve the request. Be mindful of the additional pay deadlines to ensure that the work or the pre-authorization is approved prior to the days that you wish to have the employee complete the work, and also so that they receive payment on time. Vague descriptions may cause delays in approvals, so please make sure to include a description of the work to be completed. Again, this should be 1 to 2 sentences. Work with your chair, dean, offer of work to have a plan in place regarding additional pay requests. Please always remember to enter a comment in the notes sections when you are denying or closing a request so that everyone in the approval process is aware of the reason why the request was closed or denied. And also so that the initiator has an idea as to what needs to be corrected if they need to resubmit the request. For training guides, submission deadlines, and other information, please visit the Faculty Affairs website, and you'll find this information under the additional employment link. All additional pay questions can be sent to the additional.pay@csun.edu email address. Substitute pay is also processed through the additional pay module. So this is a reminder that an anticipated substitute assignment that does not exceed 20 calendar days can be processed through the substitute job code 2356. And this requires submission of a pre-authorization form. Please make sure to submit this as soon as possible to get all the required approvals. Please keep in mind that substitutes are only paid for the hours of instruction. If the substitute assignment will exceed 20 calendar days, the department can increase the time rates of an existing part-time lecturer to cover those classes or hire a new temporary lecturer as an emergency hire. The payment will be based on waiting teaching units. Here's a reminder that the total time base cannot exceed full-time or the 1.0 if the assignment is in similar nature to the regular assignment, meaning teaching. The department should remind lecturers that a mid-semester time-based change can impact their next or final pay warrant because of how pay is processed. This may include a reduction to the settlement pay.
I'm going to open it up just one more time, just in case there's any questions for Faculty Affairs in regards to anything that they've covered up to this point. Okay, well, it doesn't seem that there's any questions, but please feel free to reach out to Faculty Affairs in case you do have any questions in regards to contracts or to policies or appointment letters or additional pay for faculty members. Please feel free to reach out to them if you have those kind of questions. But with that being said, I'm going to tell them thank you for being here and for providing such a wealth of information. And now we're going to turn it over to the HR portion. So just to go over, so let's just assume that you've already found the faculty member and that you are going to start processing them. We're going to get into the actual part of onboarding them. So first and foremost, then we need to go over the background check. So the employee needs to be cleared by HR and this has to happen for new faculty and any rehired faculty separated for 12 months or more. They have to undergo the background check. So the background check policy is reflecting on contingent offers, and we use the chargeback system for the background checks. There's also a limited exception form available on the HR website. And the ones who are not subject to background checks, because really what I've been focusing on is just faculty. Student employees, such as the TAs, GAs, and the ISAs, are not required to have background check performed unless there's very specific circumstances where they would. If, for example, if they're handling money, or if they're, I believe if they're working with minors or working with children, they would have to go through a background check. But in case you do have any questions in regard to the process in general, please feel free to reach out to backgroundchecks@csun.edu for any direct inquiries. And yeah, so just a little update on the sign-in process. I know this has kind of been more of a norm this past year, but while the CSU hiring chill that was done back in March 2020, that's ended, we needed to have presidential approval. The financial impact of the ongoing pandemic still exists, so prior vice presidential approval is required for any new searches and backfills. So there is a process that's available to kind of expedite the process and to kind of clear things up, and that is now the request for authorization to hire form. So it's created to ease the routing, from the department over to the appropriate VP, the vice president, and these approvals will be obtained via Adobe Sign. And instructions for each division, and I guess in this case it would be for academic affairs, are available at the following web address. So you would just access the link, and that would provide you, information in regards to each division, and we would provide the form as well for you to use. Just going over sign in. So the ones who will need to sign in, so any new faculty, TA, GA, or ISA, or any rehired faculty who were separated for 18 months or more, they must be completed on or before August 24th, 2022. So that's the first day of the fall semester. I believe that's a requirement, I believe for the I-9 as well, that they need to have all of their paperwork and all of their work authorization cleared up on or before the first day of work. So if the background check is still pending, HR will hold the assignment packet until the background check clears, or if the limited exception form is received. So whichever one comes first. And to schedule a sign-in appointment, please email HR customer service at csun.edu. Currently, they are working Mondays and Thursdays by appointment only. So you will need to create an appointment through the email, and more days will be added as needed. So basically, the sign-in paperwork, what that'll entail is the cleared background check, the new employee sign-in form, the SC1 or the statement of professional experience, and the faculty degree verification, which will be handled by HR. And let's see, acceptable documents to complete the form, the I-9 form. So the work authorization and identification items that would be required on the I-9 form, which the customer service team would clarify, but that's also noted on the new employee sign-in form. And yes, we are also using the new faculty sign-in express document, which already has all of these documents available, and that they just would need to fill out a form and it would get populated onto all of the appropriate documents. So it would kind of expedite the process, save them time. And I believe that the customer service team has asked that when you're scheduling that appointment, to have that sign-in paperwork done prior to coming in, to have the faculty complete the sign-in paperwork prior to coming in, so they could just have to provide the packet and then complete the I-9 portion. And yes, if you need more resources, it would be available at the link below. So once the sign-in is complete, faculties, TAs, GAs, or ISAs would receive a proof of sign-in. For faculty, they would receive their user credentials, email, and CSUN ID. And then the records and registration office at Admissions and Records is open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. For walk-ins and for CSUN ID processing. So does anyone have any questions in regards to the sign-in process as of this point?
Hi, I have a question regarding sign-in for faculty that are teaching online courses and are, like, for example, living in Sacramento. Do they need to drive down to sign in? Is there some kind of way that they can do it remotely?
That's a great question. Let me see if perhaps Mika is on the call, maybe she can provide some more clarification on remote sign-ins, or if anyone from the customer service team is present on the call.
I don't see Mika on this.
All right. Well, Blanca, if you wouldn't mind, if you please could send me an email just so I can clarify to make sure that if remote sign-ins would be acceptable, for faculty who are working remotely, to see what they would be able to accept. Because I know perhaps on certain things they would need, I believe the wet signature, or at least the I-9 process needs to be handled in person. But I would need to clarify with them.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So a brief update on parking. I believe I covered this also during summer, but the CSUN Parking Services has implemented virtual parking permits. So as such, all semester and annual parking permits will be completely virtual and no physical decal will be issued. And a valid license plate number must be input at time of purchase. If they are full-time employees, then payroll deductions are available for them. You just need to go visit the parking office to enroll. And if you need more information, you can visit their website or call them at the extension below. So benefits information. So it doesn't seem there's been any changes on eligibility for this year. The benefit summary should be available on their website. And the deadline to enroll in benefits, if eligible, it would be Friday, September 16th, 2022 for any fall hires. So anyone who's beginning in the fall, their deadline would be September 16th. And when their coverage would become effective. So for medical, dental, and vision, that would be effective October 1st, 2022. And if they have flex cash, that would be effective November 1st, 2022. Now, if they are spring only or starting in the spring, that would be the coverage effective date would begin March 1st, 2023, and FlexCash would be effective April 1st, 2023. So for open enrollment, that is from September 19th, 2022 to October 14th, 2022. And any changes that are made for anyone who is currently enrolled but changing over to another plan or another program, those changes will become effective January 1st, 2023. And currently, what's slated for the virtual benefits and wellness fair is October 5th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. More info to come on that. And in case you have further questions, you can please feel free to reach out to your benefits coordinators. And then if you have questions in regards to leave of absence or workers' comp, you can reach out to Debbie on those items as well. Okay, so moving on a little bit more into more of the nitty-gritty of the payroll portion and the part-time faculty module. So the processing dates for fall of 2022. The way they get paid is that although they work a few days in the August pay period, it gets combined with the September pay period. So the first payment that'll issue out is for October 1st. So I know there's some questions that may come up, especially for new faculty when they begin working in August, is why didn't I get my check for September 1st? It's like, well, that will get issued out at the end. And there's always like a settlement process that happens for that portion. But the first check that should issue out in full is October 1st, 2022. And normally our keying deadlines and approval deadlines are the last Thursday and Friday of August, respectively. And so for the keying deadline, I think I have a note. Yeah, so the deadline does not mean that the part-time faculty module has closed. So even if they're late, please continue to enter them via the part-time faculty module. The PARs are only for special situations or for corrections that need to happen, like a full-time, faculty teaching 15 units. Then a PAR would be needed, but otherwise, if you can enter it in through the part-time faculty module and it's past that Thursday, August 25th date, please feel free to do so. Really, that deadline is for us to ensure that all the entries for academic year, to make sure that all of the entries going forward are good to go, because we're going to be terminating all of the previous academic year. So for 21-22, we're going to be performing that at the end of the month. So it's kind of like a clean slate. We want to make sure that anything that's being separated and anything that's not going to be processed is a true separation, just to have that cleared away, and that anyone who's going to be continuing is going to be showing up as continuing, because then it'll kind of take a little bit more work around to reverse that separation transaction, put them back into the system. But that's the reason why we use those dates for the keying and approval deadlines, is because of that mass separation that happens for academic year faculty. So the payroll date that we need to keep in mind, especially for seeing and being able to monitor the transactions for faculty that will be coming up for the first check in October, that would be the MPC in September. So the first initial run is done on September 14th, 2022. So that would be a good way for you to be able to catch, as the coordinators to catch if anyone is missing, or if, any, faculty members are not showing up. You can contact the operations technician to figure out what's going on, because then we'll have the final run, MPC final in September 19th, to clear up any kind of discrepancies and make sure that that's what's going to be processed and sent over by payroll cutoff to issue out for that October payment. So transitioning over just a little bit more about the MPC process and more of the HR payroll side. So what does it mean to certify? So the master payroll certification is a chance for departments to review all the salaried employees. So I don't believe it would capture currently, it wouldn't capture the hourly employees. So it's just for all the salaried employees scheduled to be paid for a given pay period. So if the employee is entitled to full or partial pay, you'd be able to certify the employee along with any kind of corrected note. Let's say if it's for partial, in the comment box, there's a comment section on the MPC module. So you could put that there was a time base, or if there was days that needed to be docked, or if the employee was separated, or if the start date changed. That'd be a good way just to catch that, so that, payroll will be notified, and then operations can be notified as well to update the employee's record as appropriate. And this will also eliminate sending the MPC exceptions, because that can sometimes be a hassle, and after the fact, you can kind of catch it before that's necessary. And so common exceptions to look for would be your employees who should be terminated but are still showing up, employees on unpaid leave status if they're showing up on MPC. That's also a flag to look for. And if they had assignment changes and it's not being reflected yet. So if they moved from 2360, let's say they're full-time faculty, and then now they're department chair, that would be an assignment that you would need to make sure that it's showing up correctly. And another exception, if new hires or rehires with effective date higher than the final MPC. So those would be those like true late hires that are done past September. Those most likely won't show up on the MPC because the date is past final. So that would be something to, it would be kind of tough to monitor, but I think if you just reach out to payroll, that could be cleared up. But that's such a rare occurrence for a new hire to have a start date or like a late hire date past that final MPC. And then also just in the cases of time-based changes in the middle of the semester, that's also something to look out for too. Right, so employees not reflected on master payroll certification will need to be submitted via the MPC exception form. So that should be available to anyone with a timekeeper role through the My Northridge portal. And any hire or rehire entered in the part-time faculty module after final MPC, would require an MPC exception form in that case. So MPC initial versus the final. So the initial is done to make sure that all changes have been entered prior to 6 a.m. on the MPC initial date in order to be reflected on certification. And then on the final run, see only terminations, new hires, rehires, dock days only if approved. I believe those are the actions that are available to you on the final run. And then for mid-semester time-based changes, you would certify MPC, but you would leave a comment for payroll. So there's a second page on the MPC module part that you would go, and then you would be able to leave a comment. That way they would have an understanding of what, that there is a mid-semester time-based change, and that to record that would have an impact on the employee's pay. Okay, so moving on to the part-time faculty module. So just to recap, the part-time faculty, TAs and GAs, those are entered into the part-time faculty module, and the September keying deadline is Thursday, August 25th, and the approval deadline is that Friday, August 26th. I know we touched on ISAs, which are also academic student employees. However, those are entered in through the student module, not the part-time faculty module. So that whole classification class, that whole group, the 1150s, 51, 52, 53, those are entered into the student module. And you would enter them in with the end date. So as Faculty Affairs was mentioning, that you would, provide them an appointment letter, and it would, state the start and end dates. So you would reflect that onto the appointment that was entered into the student module. So hire directly in the student module with an end date. And then once their appointment has ended, you would either terminate them or extend them as necessary. And student assistants, so the 1870 classification, and then as well as the 1874, the taxable student assistant, and the 1868, the non-citizen status student assistant codes. Those are hired as well in the student module. And just a reminder, for any 1874s or 1868s during the fall semester, those require end dates. The time to review, and that HR would also be reviewing, is at the drop add deadline for fall semester. Once that's reached, once that deadline is reached, we need to review the student enrollment to make sure that if they need to be moved into another classification, or if they're not eligible for 1870, to either terminate them or move them into the 1874 position, or adjust as necessary. So that is a department responsibility, but also HR will be running this at the date of census, or at the date of the drop add deadline. Okay, so direct deposit. So just a brief aside on direct deposit. I know it's kind of been an issue in previous years to make sure that employees are signing up for it. So no need to wait for live check on payday. Nothing can get missed or stolen, and eliminates the need to go to the bank. So obviously there's some benefits to signing up for direct deposit. They would need to complete the direct deposit authorization form, which I also believe is on the Express document that's available for new sign-ins for new faculty. But if they needed to sign in and add that on, or just do it after the fact, it's located on the CSUN HR forms page. And they can currently be mailed to the following address. But please note that the enrollment may take up to 2 pay periods to take effect. And employees can also check their pay check information and W-2s online through Cal Employee Connect. And if you need more information, you can access the link below to have more information on how to go about doing that to sign up, or in case you need help on signing up. All right, almost done here. So we're just talking about just students. This is just a brief aside. If anyone is interested in learning a little bit more about students and processing those employees in particular, I will be having a workshop, or a webinar on Thursday, same time, 10 a.m. through Zoom, same link. So if you haven't signed up, please sign up. Please register, and we can go over a little bit more about student assistance. But just to go over a little bit more about students, just as a brief aside, that the reason that certain classifications are not tax or exempt from Social Security and Medicare is based on IRS tax code and the CSU student employment program. So they're not subject to Social Security or Medicare because it's tied to their enrollment. So to be exempt during this current academic year, a student worker under those classifications, they must be enrolled at least half-time at CSUN. So for undergrad students, half-time means 6 units each semester, and for grad students, that equates to 4 units each semester. So if they are not eligible for the FICA exemption, then they are subject to the 1.45 pre-tax gross earnings deducted for Medicare, and then 7.5 for the part-time seasonal temporary retirement plan, the PST retirement plan. And we will be conducting an enrollment audit on academic student employees and change their FICA coding as necessary. Once the enrollment has kind of been set at that drop add deadline or when census has been taken. Okay, so separations, resignations. So separations. So monthly TAs and GAs, when approved, need to be separated via a PAR. And like how Michelle from Market Affairs mentioned earlier, the reason why is because they are monthly, but they don't have that kind of provision where they can have an automatic stop to their payments out of the 5 checks, at least for monthly GAs. These would continue perpetually if there's no end date provided or if there's no separation date provided. So we need to do both transactions. So it would be the appointment and then the separation done at the same time, just to make sure that, on payroll side, that's, all captured and taken care of, that we know exactly the amount of days and the amount of time they're going to be working. And that needs to be done through the personal action request form or the PAR form. And for ISAs, those require termination process in the student module. And yeah, there should be a query of expiring appointments available, in case you need assistance on processing ISAs. And so for resignations, as Faculty Affairs mentioned, document. That's super important, documentation, if they're declining units or if they're going to be resigning. So also we need the submission of the PARs and separation clearance forms for resigning faculty members. We want to make sure that that's done prior to payroll cutoff, preferably earlier, just so we can have everything cleared away, and make sure that that's taken care of, and make sure that the resignation is handled in a timely manner. I believe there's also a rule that I believe it's 48 hours after the resignation is provided that we need to transact that on payroll. So that is something that we kind of need to do. That's something that is kind of like a bit of an urgent matter when those kind of resignations come up. But yes, so moving on from that, mass separations. So the graduate assistants, since those are kind of a little bit automated, we just processed this previous spring GA only employees. So those were separated prior to the July payroll cutoff. And for any of those that are going to be working in the fall, those will be separated before February payroll cutoff. And I believe today, the spring 22 only faculty and teaching associates were separated from the system. That was done by, it's done internally by HR to do a mass separation of those employees. That'll get sent over to payroll. And then for any employees who are working the full academic year, so temporary faculty and TAs in the entire 21-22 academic year, those will be separated by the end of the month. And it's projected to be around the 30th of August. And these will be captured if they are not reappointed for fall 2022. So again, like to reiterate, that's the reason why we have those approval and entry deadlines, so close, I guess, in terms of the end of the month for August. That's the reason why, is because we're going to be performing that mass separation. But okay, so wrapping up, In case there's anything left for academic year 21-22, any retirements or transitioning from faculty over to a 12-month appointment, like a department chair or 12-month faculty, or any separations at all, please send those PARs over to the HR operations team to process. And for a note on summer session 2022, so all the PARs for low enrollment adjustments are due. So if those need to be sent over, please do so now. We need to take care of that. We are, because of the delay for summer session 2, that's kind of a moot point at this point. But if you have any, please just send them over to us. But for sessions 1 and 3, if there's any enrollment or any kind of adjustments at all that need to happen, please let us know, and please send over those PARs. Okay, so that basically wraps it up. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? I think I see a hand. So Griselda.
Hi, Eric. I had a question regarding retirement. So I have 2 faculty that are FERPing that teach only in the fall, and this is their 5th year.
Okay.
It's the first time that I deal with something like somebody that teaches only the fall semester. Usually it's like half and half, so it's easy to, to calendar in. But when should I process the PARs for their retirement? Should I wait until the end of the school year, or should I do it this semester, or how does it work for these?
So if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying that this is their last fall appointment?
Yes.
Okay. So then we would need that. Well, I guess actually we kind of need that now just to make sure that their appointment is in the system, for August. But as far as that separation,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think you can send that in, closer to the time they're supposed to be separating, which I believe would be December.
Okay, so for this semester, the end of the semester, basically.
Yeah, the semester, yeah,
Okay.
because that's their final appointment. Yeah, that would make the most sense to end their FERP at that point.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Amelia, were there any other questions? I can really see it on my end.
If I can just chime in, Eric, on Griselda's question for the FERP.
Yeah.
Also, just to keep in mind, if you're going to be rehiring them for the spring semester, they're exempt from the pension reform because they did participate in the FERP program. But just keep in mind that they are restricted post-retirement, because being in the FERP program does require a retirement. So they are already retired faculty. They are restricted on their workload. So in the spring, come the spring, they probably don't have the time base to work because they've worked the FERP full time for that year. So they wouldn't be able to start work again until the following academic year.
That's good to know. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
I see 2 hands, Deborah and Sheila.
Okay, Deborah.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted some clarification on the request for authorization to hire. Now, is that needed for everyone for fall and spring, or is it just for new positions or new staff?
I believe that's for, because it's for, I believe it's for staff and faculty, any new employees that would be coming in. But I guess in terms of what we're talking about now, for the new faculties who are going to be signing in, you would need to complete that form for them. So there's, I guess, an increase to the head count for the lecturers. Like that would be necessary to complete the form.
Okay.
But in case you do have more questions, please feel free to reach out to Mika Williamson. She would kind of be the point person for this process.
Okay. So I did it right. And then for PARs, just clarification on PARs.
Yeah.
So it sounds as though for fall and spring, a PAR is only needed for hiring if there's something different or a change, as opposed to we need it just to hire a basic, nothing special staff faculty. Is that correct?
Well, for it's the par form is for faculty. So yeah. So
It is.
let's say the transactions that are available to you in the part-time faculty module, which are hire, rehire, cancellation of an appointment, or time-based changes. So if it's a decrease in time-based or decrease, increase, or any of those actions, that can be done through the part-time faculty module. But if it's that, oh, this is a rehired annuitant faculty member, then a par would be needed, because those kind of need to be tracked a little bit more closely, or FERP as well. Or if they're going to be teaching, full time. So a lot of those scenarios are captured on the templates that are available on the HR toolkit. They're kind of on different tabs. The most frequent situations that would come up where a par would be needed, correcting a transaction, or if it's that, that it would fall into those kind of scenarios. But for anything normal or anything kind of, the usual, that could be done through the part-time faculty module.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And then last question. So the
Mhm.
appointment letters are essentially needed for everyone except student assistants, correct?
Sorry, one more time. The appointment letters?
Yes.
Yeah. So the appointment
Okay.
letters are required for those in Unit 11 and Unit 3.
Mhm.
But yeah, student assistants like the 1870s, as far as that kind of, bargaining unit, it's a non-represented class. So there's no particular rule to have their appointments tracked in the same way.
Okay. And then once those letters are signed, we just file them in we don't need to send anything to faculty affairs, to HR. It's just filed.
Right. That's kept at the department level.
Okay. And then for full-time faculty, is that just an appointment letter? Nothing, there isn't a module, correct?
No. So the full-time faculty, that would be handled through a par form.
So
There
that's
is
a par. Oh,
yeah. So for full-time, yeah. So let's say for the 2360 classifications or department chairs, those are handled through those kind of transactions.
okay. All right. I think I have it.
Okay. But yeah, if you have any
So
questions, we can take this offline as well.
Okay.
Great, thanks. Any other hands? Who was the other
Sheila?
hand?
Yeah, Sheila
Sheila?
Brown.
Okay.
Hi, I wanted to ask GA appointment announcements. Those AA, which used to be called AA ones, so who are they sent to?
Those can be sent to Ryan Parker St. John in our office.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we have one more hand raised, Mari Flores Garcia.
Hi, I'm not sure if I missed it, but did we cover parking?
Yeah, we did. It was just a brief slide. It was basically a continuation of what was covered in summer, really. It was that it was going to be done virtually, and that here's my slides here. But essentially that, yeah, it's virtual parking permits, and that you would perform, or you would do that through their, I believe it's through their website. But yeah, more information is on their website, the parking site.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.